Welcome everyone to the January Best Practices webinar for Iowa's 21st Century Community Learning Centers Network. My name is Michelle Rich and I'm with the Iowa After School Alliance. We're proud to serve you and your technical assistance needs. I want to thank Vic Jarvis for his leadership at the department and ask if he has anything that he'd like to share with grantees at this time. Well, Vic says we're good, and that's good. We'll get started then. I want to introduce Sandra Day, Dr. Sandy Day, from Council Bluffs. She runs their 21st Century programs and has just amazing enthusiasm for this program, and it shows in what Council Bluffs is doing. So I will hand it over to Sandy to get started and start talking about what they have going on at Council Bluffs. We've asked her to talk about the breadth of the programming there in Council Bluffs, including partnerships, staffing, the structure, best practices for running multiple sites, and much more. So just a reminder that if you're on the phone, please mute your line. That will be helpful. Sandy, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and Council Bluffs Community Schools wishes you a Happy New Year. So let's just dive right in, shall we? I thought it would be helpful if we had a little bit of background on the school district, because with so many sites across the state, we're all just quite a bit different, or a little bit different as the case may be. But just a little bit of background. Our size, we serve just a little bit over 9,000 students in grades PK through 12. You can see our official membership free reduced lunch rate there. That was officially this year. Now, of course, in our 21st Century Learning Center sites, we do have a much higher, in some cases, over 90% free reduced lunch rate. So just to kind of give some perspective on that. You can see some of those other statistics there. One of the things I also wanted to point out was, you know, for really only having 9,100 students, a 20% mobility rate is quite high, and you know, it does impact certainly student achievement. It certainly, I think, speaks to some of the family struggles that are here economically and in other ways. But I just wanted to point that out. So those 9,100 students are served by a total of 11 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 2 high schools. We do have 2 alternative programs, one at middle school and one at high school. We also have a career and technical education center, the Tucker Center, both high school home attendance areas. And so students from each of those schools have the opportunity to ride a bus to Tucker for part of their day and take part in some career and technical education courses. So that's just kind of an overview of the statistics of the district. And just to note, back in 2008 and 9, the Council District did receive an award for 21st Century Community Learning Centers, and then there was a little bit of a hiatus. And then in 2014-15, they received their first of 3 so far in a row for middle schools. And then in 15-16, they received their elementary award. And then in 16-17, just last year, we received a high school award. Kind of hard to see, and I apologize for having the letter so far to the bottom of the screen, but you never know what it's going to format like when you put it up. But I kind of color-coded those school years, part of those years, because I just wanted to put it in perspective. So I just got here like 15 months ago, so this is me, like right in the middle there, jumping in on year 2 of that elementary grant, and then we wrote the high school grant last year. So I'm kind of a newcomer to Council Bluffs Community Schools overall. Just another kind of a look at what schools are in our 3 cohorts. Our middle school, which was our first award, Council Bluffs Developing Relationships Engaging All Middle School All Middle Schoolers, or CB Dream. That's our middle school, including both of our middle schools, Kern and Wilson. Followed by our cohort 10, which is our Super Kids, so Student University Promoting Education and Recreation. They're in year 2. And again, our high schools are in year 1. They're our cohort 11, and we modeled their program after the Ready by 21, so all youth ready for college, work, and life by age 21. I don't know if you've come across that. If you haven't, you might want to make a note because it's a pretty amazing secondary model, in my opinion. That's put on by the Forum for Youth Investment. One large partner in that is the United Way. So, and I believe they're having an annual discussion coming up the end of March. And it's typically a pretty good discussion nationwide about how to prepare students, particularly, I mean, it's focused mainly on high school, but it totally is appropriate to middle school. But typically, high school students are a little bit harder to engage. We are also finding that as well. But they have some pretty good ideas on how to get through some of those challenges. So managing multiple sites. We have a total of 7 sites then, as you saw a second ago, middle, elementary, and high school. I think this statement is kind of a does statement, but in reality, everything we do, doesn't matter if we're a school district or we are a community partner, it really all does start with quality staff, whether it's leadership staff or staff who are conducting clubs or staff who are feeding our children. I mean, truly does depend a lot on that. It's, in my opinion, it's the basis for everything we do. If we have the right people in the right spot, you're going to be able to take kids someplace. Now, that's a double-edged sword. For a lot, well, actually, they have 16 edges. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to stop to count them all, but I can tell you, and you'll see in another page in the second week, are currently experiencing 2 openings in key levels in our 21st century structure, and it is causing us some pain. But, and I will just say, it's not wise, in my opinion, to just fill the spot with anybody that, might look good on paper. So getting the quality staff is a challenge sometimes for lots of reasons. Could be your location, could be you're just not getting the right people to apply, could be you're not getting it out to everybody. But to me, that is the key piece of all that we do. Another thing here at Council Bluffs, and again, all of this was really in place before I got here, but and I find it interesting. So my background is I've had 31 years of teaching and administrating in Omaha Public Schools, which is literally a stone's throw away right across the river from Council Bluffs. And they do things differently over there. Every community does. But what I find so interesting about the structure of 21st century support here in Council Bluffs is that it was a commitment at the superintendent level to make my position, this position I hold, the project director, a Council Bluffs Community School District employee. And not only that, this position carries a superintendent cabinet designation with it. That is, there are, I believe, 15 people that attend the superintendent's monthly cabinet meeting. And these are everybody from communications specialists that run our communications to teaching and learning assistant superintendents. I mean, these are high-level people in the organization who insist on knowing what's happening in 21st century community learning centers, not only so that they're in the loop, but also how can they support what we do. This, to me, is critical, and I don't know that managing multiple sites could happen if you didn't have this kind of support, partly from that perspective, as I mentioned a minute ago, having quality staff. So I have at my disposal the use of human services, our human resources. When we have an opening or we decide to bring on a new kind of employee, a new category, which we recently did, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Literally, I make an appointment with a specialist or the superintendent, the CFO of human resources, and we hammer it out and we get it up on the web and we start advertising in all of the outlets that the district itself advertises in, which to me is critical. teaching and learning support, which includes part of our professional development. All of that has been, easy to access because I'm literally in the central office. This position is located literally in central office, where these people are part of. I can walk across the hallway and say, geez, professional development people, I need to have some training on bullying. How about OBEA training, which which is our anti-bullying group that we use. And that happens, literally all we have to do is say, we need and then fill in the blank. And then the district, with their kind commitment to us, is right there with us. I could go on and on about this, and I hope I've made my point. And if you're in a position where this isn't your position, where you don't have that kind of access, I'm wondering if you can reach out to, if you're the project director, if you can reach out more directly to your school district or your main partner in accessing your students and see if you can have a voice at that table. It gets right to our advisory group that we all alluded to or really wrote quite a bit in our awards about how we had planned to, support through scaffolding our after-school, out-of-school programming. So I guess I would say reach out if you're not getting the kind of support you need, or if you think you need more, who doesn't need more. Maybe that's a way to get that done. I look at each one of these departments and I think, we daily come up with obstacles, hurdles in all of these areas, and a lot of them are literally blown over by the fact that the director of transportation calls up and says this is not going to happen anymore. I'm just going to give you an example. So we went to do our first quarter reimbursement report, budget reimbursement report, and I'm looking at what we get. We get this dump off of our thing called SunGuard, and I'm looking, and in account 515, which is transportation, there's literally not a penny charged against 21st Century. And this would be, let's not forget, folks, July, August, and September. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I'll get through this as best I can, but then I'll go over to transportation, see what's going on. And I need to tell you that that was corrected within a week. It's nice to have that kind of partnership at this level, because it just takes a lot of headache and hassle away from the program so that it can serve kids, and it's not, in a tailspin or chasing its tail trying to solve problems on the organization level. The next bullet, and I know that you all do this, but regular communications I think are key with managing multiple sites. When I first got here, there was I think it was once a week. Oh, sorry, memory fades. Yeah, I think on Tuesdays there was a meeting with, at that point we had 5 sites, and everybody would, share what's good, what's bad, what we need to work on, all that good stuff. And that worked for a while. As we've grown, though, it's been clear that we need to be more focused in our meetings. So with the 21st Century staff in and of itself, we're really honing in on trying to be more intentional with our time, where I meet with, and you'll see our organization structure in a second, I meet with the achievement specialist, and then each site as a cohort, separate from each other one, because they are complex and they all have their own, working pieces that are, in some cases, not working and need to be honed a little bit better. And, it's all about making sure we can document what we're doing. I would suggest taking notes and maybe having some of those notes in your evidence binder when you have to demonstrate to site folks who are coming to take a look at your school that you are doing what you need to be doing. I can't remember the number, maybe it's number 6. Asks you to make sure that you're having regular meetings with your own staff. Again, just as I talked about the central office staff in bullet 2, the building principals have been so open to having, if not monthly meetings, at least quarterly or trimesterly meetings, so that we can do, kind of leading into bullet 4, begin, what's on fire, what are some new ideas going forward for the next trimester or quarter or summer, what are some long-term plans for next year. again, if we have issues at a particular building, we had an incident, yes, I guess it was last week, where we had something come up with a club that was no longer going to be offered. An email got to the principal, got to the superintendent. I wasn't included until later. It's coming, trust me. But thank goodness we had, of course, follow-up notes that said how that club was going to be transitioned over to the school and how that was basically we had a vacancy in coaching where we couldn't find a sponsor for that particular club. But the fact that we had meetings, the meeting on that one happened last April as we were looking ahead to this school year. I can't really stress enough, and I know that you probably already have this as practice, but the more proactive you can be with looking down the road and trying to make plans. I don't typically look for a plan A and a plan B. I typically plan for plan A and make it work as long as it's a good plan. I don't know, that maybe didn't come out right, but basically I don't look at like the next quarter and look for all kinds of ways to do things. I look at who wants to bring us, what teachers, what youth development workers, what community partners want to bring us an opportunity. We build that in first, and then we begin to go out. If we have holes, we go out and we try to recruit other people to do sessions and those sorts of things so that we can maintain or continue to work towards our attendance goals. Yeah, I mean, proactive planning, obviously, we're working on summer right now. We actually started, I'm kidding you not, we started working on next summer, literally last August. And we're a little bit of a rocky road getting to teaching and learning until just at Christmas time because they had, program directors for the summer programs change jobs and do different things, and they had 2 openings there, so it didn't make any sense to meet with nobody until they actually appointed someone for summer 2017. But I literally, I speak for I speak for we, I guess. We have our August 2017 already squared away, and so I feel pretty good that the team has a vision that we need to really be proactive, and that, again, didn't come from me. I'm part of it, but most of these people have that kind of vision. So, again, it just all starts with that quality staff that was hired in the very first place. So should I stop at any point and ask for questions, or should I plan to just ask for questions at the end?
You can do whatever you'd like, Sandy.
Okay.
I'm also monitoring the chat, so you can go ahead and keep going. People can put in their questions in chat if they'd like. Okay, so we'll do questions at the end unless something shows up in chat. It looks like Melanie might be typing something. I might wait to see what she's got to say. Hi, Melanie, Sandy Day. We currently have 7 sites right now. We have the 2 middle school sites. We have the 3 elementary sites and 2 high school sites. And actually, let me just put a little caveat in there. Our high school alternative program is located at Canesville, which is a separate site itself, but it serves the students that are in the AL and TJ home attendance areas. So physical places that we go, then I guess that would be 8. But the cool thing is, Canesville is the name of it, just moved over here literally right across the street from our central office on West Broadway. And so when there are things going on over there, I can just walk over there. It's kind of cool. It's kind of fun. So yeah, 7 buildings. It rolls into an 8th because that program is at Canesville. I see Bill Stone typing. I'll wait just a moment, unless you don't want me to. Bill, stop typing. Okay. Go ahead. I'll go ahead and let Bill continue to type because this is right along that same topic we were talking about. So it's all about the staff managing multiple sites. Okay, so here's a kind of a graphic picture
of who we are in 21st Century in Council Bluffs. I'm Sandy Day. I'm the program director. And then this is part of the communication flow. And I realize my arrows are only going one direction, and they should have been going two. This I know. I will fix that. I just found this new thing called Lucid Press, and it's part of Google Suite. Nice. And it's got Lucid Chart, and man, I never thought you could make a flow chart so easily. At any rate, so I oversee all the sites. Jessie Stofel is our achievement specialist, and she touches literally all 7 sites. Achievement specialist meaning she tracks everything that relates to achievement and makes sure we're on our goals, keeps us really focused on where we are with our goals for each of the sites in terms of our regular attendees. So attendance, behavior issues, real achievement, student achievement. She assists us with we've identified this last year, we identified a group of what we're calling bubble kids. And they're essentially kids who are not quite proficient, but could be proficient if given a little bit of extra attention, a little bit of extra, well, literally attention, and help along the way. Maybe even a little extra dose of recruitment when it comes to new club time. Hold on, I'm going to take a sip of water. Had a little bit of a cough. Sick grandkids need to be cuddled too. Hang on. So each of the buildings has done that it's come partly from the building administrator, who those kids are. Of course, they know who they are. They've communicated those students to our site facilitators. And then, so the next level down are facilitators. The middle level, left to right, is the two on the far right. Those are our middle school site facilitators. Far left are 2 high school site facilitators. And those would be the ones who, in the example I was just using, one particular thing we're doing, those bubble kids that are really the first line of herding of ducks, if you will, to make certain that those kids, if it's little Sandy Day who's not quite reading on grade level, make sure Sandy is aware of the new Homework Help Club that's coming out specifically on Thursday night. And I mean, obviously that's not the only thing those site facilitators do, but that is one of the things that they do. Again, so those are full-time people that row there: Jess, Elena, Darcy, and Julia. And their job really is to be the people on site who communicate initially with the staff for breakfast, before breakfast programming, all the way to the end of club day. And we'll see an example of some clubs here in just a minute, what that might look like. But really, and honestly, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, and I apologize, but it's hard not to because all the stuff is connected. But one of the things that these people also do, and I'll give you a great example shortly, is once they get everything else they need done, attendance is done, supplies are set up for tonight's club, attendance for mornings put in, supplies are set up for tonight's club, buses are arranged, whatever the case may be, then part of their job is to also develop partnerships. And we'll get more to this in a minute, but it's really interesting, and I think Council Bluffs is quite lucky in that we sit in a metro center that includes Omaha, and that affords us the opportunity to have the option of even going to Omaha to find some community partners. I'll give you an example when we get a little further into PowerPoint, but I tell you what, it is amazing how many community partners are just dying for you to call them and figure out a way for them to get into your buildings. It has really struck me. So looking at that second row there underneath Jessie, so Jess Clark's job on the far left then is to work with teachers and the youth development workers, which I'll talk a little bit more in a minute, on how to run their clubs and their activities. Again, I mentioned facilitating. I guess I forgot this part, facilitating that the snack is in the right place after school. But the transportation, all the supplies, whatever that staff member might need to run their club or that community partner. Directly underneath Jessie is Nikki. She is our elementary program coordinator. And she works directly with 3 of our elementaries. On the far left, underneath Nikki, is Longfellow. You'll notice that is a vacant position. We have Christina. She is at Franklin. And then we have another vacant position at Rue. And so those site facilitators at those elementaries do basically the same sorts of things as the secondary people do. It's just that they do it only after school. They work with the teachers. They work with the youth development workers who are simply lay people who have wanted to work with students after school. Some of our youth development workers who've applied have been college students. Some of them have been just people in the community, some who have full-time jobs and don't work on Monday, which is when we have a tremendous need for staff, because Monday, Council Bluffs Community School is a professional development day for all teachers. So Monday can be a little bit of a challenge for after-school programming. One of the reasons why we went with a youth development worker as an added staff person, so that we can continue to offer as many offerings as we can. We just wouldn't be able to use certified certified teachers after school. Now, there are two unhappy faces there. And that's not indicative of how many unhappy faces that really means. Because obviously when we have someone vacant in a building, it's incumbent upon, well, first of all, Nikki and then me to make sure that we have someone in that building who can step in. And again, I cannot say enough about the experienced group that is here in Council Bluffs Community Schools. We have a couple folks that want to literally sub for us on the site facilitator level. We have one young lady who's done it, well, I just got here, but she's done it at every grade level except for high school as of today. She's been at middle school for part of a semester when we had a maternity leave. She's been at another school, an elementary school, when we had a vacancy, straight up resigning. And so, and for example, even at Longfellow, we have a health aide who her job is done at 3 o'clock. She can step in and be our temporary site facilitator for us at Longfellow, and that's just wonderful. But it really couldn't happen if we didn't have those quality people either in the school already, ready to step in, and they're ready to step in because they believe in what this program does, and they believe that it's making an impact on students. Or we just have a pool of people out here in this community that are willing to help us. But we are still looking for 2 part-time site facilitators there at the elementary level.
Sandy, would you mind answering a few questions? The first is from Melanie, and it's about how many students attend each site. And then Vic asked around funding for these full-time employees, how that is funded through 21st Century or otherwise, because 21st Century isn't intended to supplement a full-time position. Thanks.
Right. So to Melanie's question first, it kind of varies. I can tell you that our goal at each school is, let me go with cohort, our first cohort of award. Our goal for the middle schools was 200 regular attendees per school year. And last year we didn't quite make that. We made 155 and 170. I could be off a little bit. I don't have that right in my head in front of me. But that's regular attendees. But the number of attendees that we serve is about twice that. As last I remember, I don't know if Jeff is on the line, but the last attendance update, I think at middle school we were sitting at serving somewhere a couple weeks ago around 700 students, but again, they were not regular attendees. The elementaries, they were, the 2 larger ones are on the far left, Longfellow and Franklin. Our goal there was 150 students, regular attendees. We didn't quite make that. We were right around 100 at each school last year. But we served many, many more than that. And then Rue's regular attendees number was around 105, and actually Rue hit that last year, I think, by making 106 regular attendees. But overall, we serve over 1,000 students in those two programs. Now, our high school attendance has been a little bit low. We're in year 1. High school is a little bit different animal. We are learning that what students really truly want are experiences related to a possible career. And so that's what we're building for them. So, and that's hard to do during the school day. So we're looking at out-of-school times in particular. Our summer program that we just kicked off last summer in July was very well received. And we're building that for this next summer. But our regular attendees, I want to say at the high school level, we're not hitting any of our 160 per school was what we were looking for. We're not close to that yet. We're serving maybe 60, 70 per building, but they're not the same ones each time at this point. So, you know, but we're going to continue to work on that. The question about full-time staff, if I look back at the full-time staff that are here, they were actually written into the grant. So Jesse Stofel, Nikki, my position, it was not me. And the site staff at the secondary level, that's a good question, Vic. If they were not written into the grant, that should not be happening.
Sandy, did we lose you?
No, I'm here. I just noticed that Vic was still typing, and I'm guessing he's typing something related to that last statement.
We can keep monitoring it. Go ahead.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so staffing in general for the 21st century, again, I'm a full-time employee, and my calendar is 220 days, but based on the fact that, and you know, this is really a hard thing to say, is, you know, 21st century programming, the way we've written it, is school is like 8 to 4, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 9 months a year. 21st century is everything else outside of that. So in visiting with HR, my boss, and the superintendent, it was determined that I should probably go to 12 months starting next year, which I will do so that I can be on site when we have our summer leadership, or have leadership available all summer long without having to pay extra duty hours. Our 21st century achievement specialist, she works 220 days, and then basically, basically is quote unquote off over the summer. Same with the elementary program coordinator, and then the same with the site facilitators at all levels. They do not work summer. We pay people to do those just a regular rate. Can you use district funds for admin? Oh, okay. Can everyone see Vic's most recent statement?
Yes, everyone can see the chat box.
I wasn't sure. And so going back to look at those percentages, we will do that and make the appropriate adjustment. And can I have a person that does hybrid position, a site facilitator who also runs clubs? I wonder if I can do that and help facilitate that way the salary issue. But in addition to those people that are listed as 21st century, underneath there is, we currently have teachers that are providing the majority of our after-school programming on the paid side. We do have paraeducators that we pay, and I can't tell if my youth development worker is underneath that blue line. But this school year, we did realize that, you know, we need to be able to continue to serve students, and our middle school is rolling into their 3rd year of funding, and so we, if we do pass our site observation is coming up this spring, we're going to need to figure out a way to, you know, serve students, more students, or the same amount of students with less money. So what we thought we would do is begin to develop a position and a category of employees called youth development workers. Maybe, I don't know if it would be helpful, but I will send the job description to Michelle, and maybe she can send that out when she sends out the rest of the PowerPoint that has the clickable links in it. What's nice about that position is, obviously, after some training from HR, from our professional development folks in teaching and learning, those folks would work with students to deliver a club, to deliver curriculum. We have one right now who's working with us at Kern. He is his full-time job. He does not work on Mondays, and he is helping us with our NASA STEM challenge. He is dynamic with those kids. We've got about, don't quote me on this number, but it's close to 20 students that are loving every minute of what's going on in that opportunity and loving the fact that here's someone from a different walk of life. He works for Habitat for Humanity and is able to talk a lot with the students about one of our biggest pieces of our program model, and that is civic engagement and civic connectedness. Kids are really interested, like 87% of our kids are interested in doing some sort of community service. And so that's a piece that he brings to the table even without directly instructing it. My understanding, and I've seen just a couple videos of what he's doing, but my understanding from our site facilitator there, Elena, is that kids engage with him on regular discussions like that outside of the STEM things simply because he's so engaging. Okay, very good. Thank you. Here's a program model I was talking about, and if you're wondering where this came from, basically this comes from the RFP. This is exactly the kinds of things that, what's that listed, 25 things that says things we should be offering to students. But it's also the Ready by 21 model, kind of in a more succinct fashion. So when we look at what we're going to offer for the next quarter, we try really, really hard. Sometimes it doesn't always work. But we try really hard to offer, to be mindful of this when we're doing it. We want to offer, think of this as a pie, 20% of our time with academic support, enrichment, 20% of our time, career college readiness, social civic connectedness, health skills, life and health skills, and then family engagement. It doesn't always work out that way, but it's kind of amazing. It often does. When you get your PowerPoint, please go ahead and take a look at these links. These are active links. We're going to pull up a kind of a dead one here in a second so you can see it. But these links are right on our CVCSD website. Underneath the school itself, it will be a navigation button. Once you get to the school, it will be a navigation button over to the right. And this way, anybody can take a look at what we're doing. The parents can look at it if they've forgotten where we are. Just really anybody can take a peek at that. So I'm assuming I can just click on Wilson's. If we were going to go to Wilson's Middle School Club calendar, you would click there, but I'm going to grab this dead link down here and see if we can.
It might be a little difficult to pull up the, you might have to share your screen again. So I just want to let people know that who are on the line, that the Council Bluffs Wilson schedule is shared in the Files box, which is in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. So the links on the PowerPoint are the schedules. So there is one example provided here. Sandy, there's a question about the kind of clubs you're offering at the elementary level specifically. Can you talk about that?
One sec, please. I can. I'm going to not distract myself.
I will go ahead and pull up the PowerPoint as you answer that question.
Thank you. That'd be great. So, what works best is to actually look at it because I can't see it right now. If you think about the program model that we were talking about just a second ago, it's very, very much like that as well. We have morning tutoring For students, we have afternoon tutoring, talking about elementary. We also have things like Pinterest Club. We have scouting. So when you guys get your links, you'll be able to go to each one of those links or just surf our website. You'll be able to see what they look like. It shows you, I'm just going to read to you if you don't mind what we have going on right now. That would be helpful. Here we go. Okay, so besides the academic piece that I had mentioned, and also, so at all three levels, we have a morning activities piece. At elementary and middle school, it's called BOX, Building Our Kids' Success. A portion of that is physical activity for about half an hour before school, before breakfast. The other half is academic, and then students roll right into breakfast and then right into school. After school, so I'm taking a look, and I think Rue was the clickable link in your PowerPoint when you get it, but I'm looking at the list for Longfellow right now. And on Tuesdays, we have things like Jewelry Club, beautiful baubles. We have clay collaboration. And I'll let you know that these are brought by staff. Those two are brought by staff. The Archery Club, though, which is also on Tuesdays, is by Bass Pro Shops. We've got a Cub Scout pack at each elementary and brought to you by Cub Scouts. Sewing, Humane Society, Junior Humane Society, also a staff member doing that. We've got a soccer club going on, and that's a community partner who started as well, he used to be a para for the school district, and now he has his own company. A dance club, so that's a student, a staff person. And then we've got Craft Club. I'm looking at Wednesdays now. Craft Club is by Kids and Company, our elementary partner. Our elementary is interesting in that we have a main partner at each site, and that's Kids and Company. And they are our main lead agency on Monday and Friday. They do the same sorts of things with tutoring, same sorts of club opportunities. Our huge blowout of clubs happens Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so that's why these are kind of, well, large. Let's Go Build. Let me see some other community partners. These are staff members. Fit Kids. Helping Hands, that's a staff member, so that's service to community. Okay. I'm getting back to the PowerPoint now. Does that help with that question? Did I lose everybody? Okay. Okay. So Michelle, in going out from the main page, I've lost my presenter button. Can I get those back? as we completed our most recent evaluation in November, we were up to around 84 partners. And looking at what we got just the other day, we're topping 100 partners at this point. And I think if I could get to that slide, which I can't right now, but it doesn't matter. Oh, thank you. I think the most important reason that that happens is that literally everybody on that org chart that you saw, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, part of their day is literally developing new partners, and they do that by going out into the community. Typically, we start with a web search. A lot of people come in with ideas from people that they came across in the community. For example, we take part in our Coffee and Collaborations. The Chamber puts on a monthly coffee, and we attend that on a rotating basis. Oh, thank you, Vic. We attend that on a rotating basis, and you literally grab people's business cards, and you give them yours, of course. And so we sit down and we talk about how could we build this particular partner into our overall array of offerings. And so that's a discussion, and then it takes constant follow-up. It takes a long time. When you get your PowerPoint, please click on the A Lot of Planning, because sitting next to the Kaneko. I don't know if you're familiar with the artist Kaneko, but he's opened a nonprofit gallery in Omaha, which is, again, just west of us. And nice thing is, it's right across the river, literally on 11th Street, and 03 is the river. And we've used the Kaneko. We started meeting with them, I believe it was in January of last year. We built them into our summer program. They became a part of our Bridge to STEM Creating Citizen Scientist project. Over the summer, we've used them for that. They've had multiple engineering and architectural sessions over the summer that they scholarshipped many of our students for. That was amazing. And then they've developed a couple of other new offerings this spring specifically for our students. And that link will take you to yesterday's session and give you an idea of how kids are using creativity to impact their life and to create, new opportunities for themselves and for their community. It's really that particular partnership we're all very proud of because they impact all levels of our club, so elementary all the way to high school. So we're really, really proud of that. So I don't know if there are other questions, but okay, cool. So partners is one thing, and another group that we should probably think about maybe on a more ongoing basis. I know we in Iowa should, since we've had kind of a turnover in some of our policymakers, but is our lawmakers, our policymakers. I know Vic has talked at extended periods of time about how in the last reauthorization of Elementary Secondary Education Act, ESSA, Every School Succeeds Act, this last time around, if not for the bipartisanship that came together to make 21st Century be funded going forward, it could have died. And that happened because our policymakers were informed about what we're doing, which means we must intentionally make sure they know what we're doing. We've developed a system where we're reaching out to them on a regular basis. It depends on what that regular basis might be. At the secondary level, it's trimestrally. On the elementary level, it's on a semester basis, just to give them an update, of what we're doing. The most recent newsletter, e-newsletter that went out, talked about our evaluation and the good things that we're doing and how we're going to address some of our shortcomings. We've also instituted a face-to-face meeting with our partners, and this year, again, we're adding our policymakers, and we used to call it Partners in Pastry, but now that we have policymakers, it's going to be partners, policymakers, and pastries, because you can't forget the donuts. We're going to be doing that at about middle of February the 17th. We've invited all of our elementary, middle, and high school partners, all of our policymakers at the state and national level, and I was really impressed that our legislators at the state and national level have all responded, They themselves will not all be here, but they are sending an aide. And I can't tell you how important I think that is, where they can be in a room, hear from, well, from us, what this is all about, hear from community partners about how they help after school, and then hear our evaluation statistics, and then we get to hear from them about what more they need from us so that they can, continue to spread the good word about the 21st century. So, and then finally, at the end of the year, we do, you can stay right here. Finally, at the end of the year with our partners, we do an end of the year celebration, and we do awards, and we reach out and make sure that we let our partners know that we do appreciate all that they do for us. Okay, we can head forward. That'd be cool. I just did want to mention that, again, that fifth piece that I didn't quite get to, which really, in the area of best practices, to me, this is a given. In Council Bluffs, we have 4 levels of family engagement, and not each site is at each level, but I can tell you that each site is at the blue level, where they all get the connection with Iowa Western Community College. In fact, we just last week, 2 weeks ago, I can't remember, had an elementary family night, time flies, where we had our adult literacy educator from Iowa Western Community College, Teresa Daniel Cooley, come in and be able to talk with families about their opportunities, be it with a literacy program, ESL, some basic courses, HiSET, or whatever the case may be. So every parent is exposed to that. They're, of course, not drugged to such a meeting. They are invited. So, anytime you do an invitee kind of thing, it can be difficult to judge how many will come. One thing we found this year, of course, is if we can buddy up with a family night that the school already has on the books, we have a much better chance of reaching parents. And then when you get your PowerPoint, please do click this red link here in the monthly school-based parenting sessions. These are the ones that we definitely try to align with the schools that are already happening. This is, I don't know if you guys have access to them, feel free to steal them. They're right on our website, and it's how parents can help their children succeed in school. These are Iowa State core standards broken down by grade level. I think this one was kindergarten. It's a link here. But what I like about it is it's written in parent-ease, parent language. So if my child is learning about, species of birds in school, what can I do at home to make sure that I'm supporting that? And something as simple as when you take the child out for a walk, make sure you point out the different kinds of birds, or ask them to point out what kinds of birds do you see. You don't have to name it necessarily, but maybe just describe it. So this is for all subject areas, all core subject areas, and then of course for the 21st century communication and technology skills. So we share those with parents. We have little table conversations about how they can be more successful in helping the children be more successful by doing things at home intentionally. And then we partnered with Boys Town, Iowa, and I know they're pretty big, to help support other pieces of family support that may be a little bit more intense. We haven't actually used them yet this year. We're going to be using them over the summer in level 3 with some common sense parenting at our elementary level. Oh, cool, Julia, that's exciting. Oh, no, that's cool. That's what it is. Okay, so just, I'm sure you all have final comments too, but I just threw these 2 things up there that I really see as being important for us. Obviously, the relationships is a big deal. Doesn't matter which stakeholder group you're talking to or talking about, and those are all based really on communication, looking each other straight in the face, and knowing that we all want to support students so that they can all succeed. I mentioned this briefly, but professional development has been a big thing for us. We're fortunate that any kind of training that our staff takes, the CBCSD takes, our 21st century staff is able to be a part of at no charge. And then, and if our site itself, one of our sites wants to bring in someone to deal with, let's say, student achievement from a different perspective, and it fits, our specific goals, we can help them with that through some of our professional development funds. We've done that a little bit on the high school side this year, so we're looking forward to doing more of that. But between the school district, state opportunities for professional development offered by 21st Century, and some of the regional pieces and national pieces, I feel like we've got the tools we need to make sure we can reach students. And so I guess it would just throw a plug in for professional development. And that's all I have.
Great. Well, we'll open it up for final questions. Anyone can type in a question, or I'll open the phones also if you'd like to ask your question over the phone as well. We'll give you just a few minutes to type or ask your question. Billy asked about common sense parenting. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so common sense parenting for Boys Town, Iowa, there's a whole, inside common sense parenting, there's a whole set of arrays of things. Everything from a 6-week, 1 night a week, 2 hour a night package on a particular subject to what we are doing, and then they have private pieces or private counseling. But what we're doing is we're going to be using what they call their cafes. Parents, and I know you can Google it, the cafes, and I can even send you, I don't have it right in front of me, but I do have an email I can forward over that talks about the different topics of the cafes. For example, on these are 1 hour, they can address as many as 75 parents. These are 1 hour sort of, lecture, essentially. There's not much time for discussion, but if you take the 2 hour session, it is where they role play in the second hour. We decided this summer, since we're just starting out, that we're going to start with $500 for the Parenting Cafe. The first topic, and it's going to be the end of June, which is, we get out mid-June, so we were looking at all the topics, and geez, there were like 30 of them, I think. And the one my team thought would be good is, how do you handle parenting over the summer? Because it really changes, essentially. I don't remember their title of it. But basically that's what it was. And so we'll have a family engagement dinner after the end of summer school that particular day, which we figure will get out about, based on the projected calendar, about 5. We'll do the dinner. We'll do the presentation. And then Boys Town, Iowa will be done, and we'll literally pack up and walk away. But my facilitators and I plan to be there to see if there are any follow-up questions or any sorts of role-playing they might want to do. Because all of my site facilitators, well, no, I lied, all but one, are parents. And not just the site people, but my people, all but one are parents. And so it's not like we're not speaking from having not been there or done that. I'm clearly the most veteran one of the group, so I got lots of experience. And I think this is why I'm a perfect person to help here, because I can stand before them and say, guess what? I lived through it. So can you. So that's one piece. One of the other ones we're going to do in July is called, and I love this name. How do I deal with my weird kid? Or what's wrong with my weird kid? Or is it me? Something like that. The back to school one is how can I help my student to be more successful in school. I thought that was perfect. But again, that's just one of the arrays of things that they have. I'm pretty sure they had like over 30 titles. So we're kind of excited about that. We haven't been able to offer anything that direct instruction-wise from this caliber of group. So we're really excited to see how this is going to go.
Great. Any other questions? Well, it doesn't look like anyone else is typing. Thank you, Sandy, for your great information. I think I can speak on your behalf that if you're interested in any follow-up, Sandy's open to communications. So Thank you, Sandy, for today, and thank you all for joining us. I'll sign off now and appreciate all your time today. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.